Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Today. We are live moments after learning that the first session of day one of the World Test Championship final uh, will has been washed out because of rain. BCCI, in fact, tweeted a few minutes back to say that unfortunately there will be no play in the first session of day one of the ICC World Test Championship final. It has been raining in Southampton. In fact, if you've been following India Today.in, we've been covering this the weather update in Southampton from last night and early this morning, bringing you updates about the conditions in Southampton there. Of course, there was a threat of rain. When it's England, there is always a threat of rain. Remember, the World Test Championship final was shifted to Southampton for logistical purposes, for logistical reasoning. There is this hotel adjacent to the ground where the players don't have to travel. They can come straight to the ground, train, practice, play. Unfortunately, though, the heavy shower, the thunder shower, has meant that there will be no play in the first session of day one of the World Test Championship final. Well, it's unfortunate, and it's sort of you think back, you go back to that last ICC, to that last match between India and New Zealand in an ICC event, the World Cup 2019. That was also rain truncated, rain affected. In fact, that game went on, that ODI went on for 2 days, uh, and ended in thrilling fashion with New Zealand sealing a berth in the final, despite heroics from Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Ravindra Jadeja. Ironically, that was played in England as well, and this one being played in England in Southampton. Uh, quite quite disappointing for fans who were glued in to watch the WTC final being played in Southampton. This is. I wish I could come to you with the toss update as to what was happening around who would bat first, who would bowl first, and New Zealand's 11. Of course, India had announced their 11 last night, and they included two spinners, Ravindra Jadeja and R. Ashwin, Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Rahane, Jadeja, Ashwin, along with the three pacers, Ishant Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammad Shami. Unfortunately, there will be no play in the first session of day one. Of course, we're tracking developments in Southampton. There was early indication that there would be no play in Southampton. Here, I'll want to show you a couple of pictures that the BCCI tweeted just minutes before, indicating wet patches on that ground. Of course, there was some inspection after after uh, after the rain there. Match officials inspecting there, as you can see, and quite clearly, just hold on to the picture for a while. That's the inspection going underway. Quite clearly, they decided they could not uh, resume. They could not go ahead and start play on time because of the heavy shower, which left certain patches of the ground wet. So there was no way they could have started uh, play going in on this. Well, this is where we'll have to wait and see, right? As to the weather, there's not much you can do about it. A lot of you commenting are angry with why they couldn't cover the whole ground. Update is the rain has almost stopped. Possibility that play will start in second session. Yes, rain has stopped as of now, and that is what we've broken here on Sports Today. Is that play will not happen in the first session. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the second session, but there will be no play in the first session. Well, but this was also predicted. This was the weather forecast, and we had told you that there will be chance of heavy shower and thunder shower throughout the 5 days. And in fact, unfortunately, this has impacted play very, very early on. This is play very, very early on. The DSA matches started within 30 minutes as the whole ground was covered. In certain situations, you still remember the Indo-Pak T20 match in Eton Gardens in 2016. That was actually brilliantly organized too, wasn't that? Um, this has been a concern in England. Actually, when you talk of not covering the whole ground, you're right. So a lot of you are absolutely fuming and furious with the way things have panned out in the first session. But again, this is Mother Nature. This is right. There's only so much you can do. But yes, this is um, this is true. We probably ask questions of experts and figure out why the whole ground wasn't covered and why is it that is not covered in England in certain stadiums. So Utkarsh Deshpande is asking, what about the toss? Well, the toss hasn't taken place yet because it was raining heavily a short while back, and now we learned that because of wet patches in certain parts of the ground, it's the first session has been washed out. There will be no play in the first session. Um, in fact, when just an hour before the start of play, it was still continuing to drizzle, and it did not look like uh, it would ease off and there would be any play. But Vishesh Yadav is asking, what is the timing of the second session? Well, Vishesh, the first session would should have ideally gone on from 3 to 5. The second session would have started after 5:30, there about 5:40. So that is when we're expecting play to start if things hold up, if the rain holds up, and that is the timing for the second session. Well, the first session, as you're all aware, the test match timing has been advanced by 30 minutes. So that means just a 30 minutes early start. But that is what it is right now. If we're expecting, if things hold up, as of now, the update is no play in the first session of day one. We'll see, wait and watch. But also, let's hope that there is no rain. There's no rain. Akshat Harchlikar saying, let's hope play starts in the second session. Yeah, absolutely. What is one thing? I'm sure the ground staff will be working overtime right now, will be working very hard to ensure that there is play in the second session. Play starts on time in the second session, but you'll also have to keep your fingers crossed and hope that there is no more rain, which will hamper procedures and which will obviously not allow play to start in the second session also. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Both India and New Zealand, Deepta saying, deserve a fair chance to go in the final with rain and everything. Both won't get it. Look, again, this is uh, nature you're talking about. This is unfortunate. This is unfortunate. But again, at the end of the day, it's nobody's fault, really. You know how things are in England with the weather, with the rain. You can always expect some sort of weather interruption. But we'll hope and watch that that there is adequate preparation, that there has been adequate work done by the ground staff, there's adequate cover. Hopefully, the damage isn't too bad, and hopefully there will be no more rain, and we'll get some play through the course of the day. Well, Siddhant Singh is asking, what is the toss time? Well, we have to wait and watch. There is no update on that, and since there is no official update, I wouldn't want to comment because it's all fair to say that 30 minutes before the second session, etc., etc. But there'll be a clear indication as to when play will start, and God forbid if it rains between now and the second session. Uh, I don't want to put I don't want to put out anything that is inaccurate. So we'll have to wait and watch what sort of conditions lead up to the second session, and hopefully it remains uh, quiet, and if there is no rain, and hopefully it's a little drier. Um, well, there are a lot of questions. Bhumik Singh is asking the team 11, playing 11. I've told you about India. We've spoken enough about it. Quite a few of you agreed that it's a great team selection. If there is, of course, we'll have to wait and watch what sort of beg your pardon, what sort of updates we get around the second session. So that is the news. That is all we have for now. This is a little disappointing, but New Zealand players, well, they're relaxed. They, in fact, Black Caps, the New Zealand cricket official Twitter handle, they posted a picture with the players just relaxing in the lounge and watching the covers and enjoying a coffee and chatting with each other. So that was the camp. That is the mood in the New Zealand camp. Well, then when there is, well, there is little you can do with with his with rain. So there is absolutely uh, nothing to do but wait and hope and keep your fingers crossed, of course. See that there is no more rain in the second session. But it will be interesting to see what the rain does, what the persistent rain does, what the cloud cover does in England. Who wins the toss? Will the team now winning the toss want to bowl first and exploit these conditions, the overcast conditions? We all know how much the ball can do when it has rained in England, when it is overcast, when there's a slight nip in the air. India win the toss. Will they like to bowl first? They have three dangerous pacers in the lineup: Bumrah, Ishant, and Shami. Of course, New Zealand too. Well, they have a potent bowling lineup. But it is all irony, right? You look back on the 18th of June 2021, 2020, 2017, beg your pardon. That was exactly 4 years ago when India had played the last ICC final. Uh, that was the one against Pakistan that they lost. And then July 2019, about 2 years ago, India and New Zealand faced off in the semi-final of the World Cup. That was rain affected, went on for 2 days. India could not quite cross the line. And now this is the World Test Championship final, the first World Test Championship final. Again, this rain, it's really unfortunate. But ironically, all these three matches in England, well, this is Sanjay Chakraborty is saying very essential to win the toss on this condition because batting early on 15 degrees Celsius temperature with rain is so critical. Let's see what's going to happen. Yes, absolutely, Sanjay. We'll have to wait and see what's happening. In fact, we'll just wait and watch and hope that there is, like I said, that we hope that there is no more rain. A lot of fans are questioning the ICC, like on Sports Today. There's a lot of reactions on social media and elsewhere asking why the title match is being held in the English summer after rain washed out the first session. Yes, I mean, understandable angst, understandable anger, but these things happen, and these emotions are also were expected to boil over if rain did hamper any part of the World Test Championship final, especially with India looking at India looking at this kind of uh, you know this kind of historic final. This is after 4 years that India has reached the ICC, reached an ICC event final. Rajan Singh is saying so. Williamson did not score runs in the first test versus England. How he being out of form would be beneficial to India? Well, look, Kane Williamson not getting runs. Um, that is, when they do come face to face, India and New Zealand on the pitch, if they can get rid of Kane Williamson early, there is, that is a huge bonus. Kane Williamson is just such a class batsman. He can take that game away in quick time. Um, he's that kind of a danger to the team. This is the kind of that is the kind of player he is, and we have a lot of good players in that lineup. They have a lot of excellent players in that lineup. So you'd expect Kane Williamson to come back in the form. He's too good a player to miss out for too long. Didn't score too many runs in the first test. Missed out on the second test, but he'll be high on confidence because of his class and because of his uh, ability to do things right as a batsman and as a captain. Well, okay, I've just noticed Vishesh is really pounding in his question. He's washed out first session. Can we play on reserve day? Yes, there is a reserve day as well. But well, the good news is that there is, apart from a spell of rain in the afternoon, sunshine is expected. So um, we'll have to wait and watch before getting too negative. Let's just hope that there is some play. There's some play. Sudhandra CA is asking us, what will India do if they win the toss? Well, in these conditions, right, you'd expect them to probably bowl first if it remains overcast, if it remains cloudy. The ball will do a bit. There'll be a bit of aerial movement. Probably they'll get some lateral movement as well. So you'd expect them to probably bowl first and put New Zealand in a bit spot of bother because batting in these conditions, as we've seen over the years in England, overcast conditions is not very easy at all. So you'd want to just probably the team winning the toss would want to bowl first because um, well, that's the way the cookie has come in England pretty often, hasn't it? And then you probably dictate terms from there on after bowling the opposition out quickly. That's also an aggressive way to set the tone in the game. KB Gaming is asking prediction day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, reserve day 6, rain delay. Well, let's not get too negative, KB. Yes, there is prediction for rain, but as of now, we'll just take it probably one session at a time and hope that there is some um, that there is some play possible from the second session onward. Um, this is well, getting a lot of comments, getting a lot of comments. In fact, through people asking on Williamson, India, whether they should bowl first or bat first, very essential to win the toss. This I agree, in fact, with a few of you who are saying that the toss becomes more crucial in these conditions. I absolutely agree. This becomes much more crucial now that the team winning the toss would want to bowl first and make the most of these conditions. So dancing, Tim Southey, Trent Bolt, Kylie Jamieson, Vikram Searles, question is Neil Wagner, Matt Henry. Your thoughts? Matt Henry, probably. Matt Henry, given his form, just such a dangerous bowler in any condition, Matt Henry. So that's it's quite a potent bowling lineup for both teams if you look at it, right? India, New Zealand. No team would want none of the batting liners would want to go out there and face the opposition pacers in these conditions. Both teams have solid batting lineups. India's batting lineup is pretty classy and solid as well. They have their best players available and fit. So do New Zealand. They fortunately have Kane Williamson in the lineup who'd missed the second test. Yes, he did not get runs in the first test match, but again, he's too good a player to miss out for too long, and especially in the most significant test match of his career. Uh, Ayan Panja saying, knowing Indian playing 11, will New Zealand be a little bit prepared enough? Well, even with India, they would have probably guessed New Zealand's lineup also, the playing 11. So it really doesn't make much of a difference because you know who you're playing against, who you're going to face. Could sometimes be an element of mystery as to who would come to you, but they're prepared. They had named the squad of 15, so they would have prepared against, keeping in mind Ishant and Siraj, but they would have also known that Ishant would play ahead of Siraj given Ishant's record against left-handers and what he's done over the years consistently, especially in England, and his ability and his experience. So I don't think that makes too much of a difference. Otherwise, every team would have held back their playing 11 and only announced it at toss. I'm sure India would be equally well prepared. They would have also gauged the New Zealand strength, They would have done their own SWOT analysis. It doesn't make too much of a difference, in my opinion. I really don't think so. Um, well, I am not going to go through some of the very negative comments because I can understand a lot of you are a little annoyed. A lot of you are probably a little disappointed. But I'll tell you something about the reserve day, which has been scheduled to ensure 5 full days of play, and it will only be used if lost playing time cannot be recovered through normal provisions of making up lost time each day. There will be no additional days play if a positive result is not achieved after 5 full days of play, and the match will be declared a draw in such a scenario. So you will have to wait and watch what happens in the reserve day. A lot of you are asking about the reserve day. So if play is, if adequate time is not made up over the 4 days or 5 days of play, then only will the reserve day only then will play be possible on the reserve day. So let's just say that if they're unable to make up for lost time of this first session over the next 5 days, only then will they press into action the option to pursue more play on the reserve day. Well, this is what we are looking at right now. Uh, Again, a lot of you are asking why can't the ICC cover the whole pitch and ground with it? Well, this is exactly why we are. So there's a lot of furor over social media as well. In fact, on Sports Radio as well, a lot of fans are asking why they couldn't do that. Vishesh Yadav, what's your name? My name is Rajesh Gupta, and please do join me on Sports Today every day through the course of this World Test Championship and other sporting events. I'll be here to keep you updated with everything that's happening, the latest that's breaking. Sanjay Chakravarti, if India bat in this condition, Team India should play waiting game. It's a 6-day test match. It's not a 6-day test match, it's a reserve day. So I just told you what the reserve day is. A lot of you, again, okay, I see some confusion around the reserve day and keep calling it a 6-day test match. Like I said, the reserve day has been scheduled. I'll just tell you what the ICC website has specifically mentioned about the reserve day. The reserve day has been scheduled to ensure 5 full days of play, and it will only be used if lost playing time cannot be recovered through the normal provisions of making up lost time each day, right? There will be no additional days play if a positive result is not achieved after 5 full days of play, and the match will be declared a draw in such a scenario, which means only if play can't be extended over the next 5 days, there will be a reserve day. So this is not the reserve day does not mean that an extra day has been added to the test match. I'll also give you more on it. It's the in the event of time being lost during the match referee will regularly update the teams and media about the way in which the reserve day may be used. The final decision on whether the reserve day needs to be used will be announced at the scheduled start of the last hour on the fifth day. So that's the since a lot of you were asking me about the reserve dates, about the provisions of the reserve day, I've given you some details. So it will be unwise to speculate about play on the reserve day right now. Like I said, we'll have to wait and watch. Like I said, we'll have to wait and watch and see when play resumes in the second session or what time. That is what we've been told. We've been told that there will be no play in the first session. So any call will be the final call. Like I said, the interpretation of the reserve day and the final call will be taken by the match referee, and he will intimate uh, this to the teams and the media. So we'll wait for updates from there on. But these are still early days, of course. It's the first day. Play was supposed to start at 3 p.m., which is about 3 p.m. India time. In about 3 minutes from now, if things were all right, play would have started by now. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. The first session has been washed out. There will be no first session of play on day one of this World Test Championship final. Saikat Day is asking us last few years, we've seen some important matches being delayed for rain, then why the venues are thinking, well, look, you can argue about the fact that probably there's been questions raised over the fact that uh, why would you not cover the entire ground in England when when you've had similar situations before. But you can't say why play in England, etc. I mean, England is an iconic venue, right? They're one of the full members of the ICC. So there will be important events held there, and uh, this is extremely disappointing. This is extremely disappointing. Shinu, World Cup is saying World Cup semi-final had rain, getting a bad feeling to Adarshi. Well, look, again, that was a one-day game. They had a reserve day. Play resumed on the reserve day. This is a 5-day test match, right? And there is a provision for a reserve day. And I just told you under what circumstances play can happen on on a reserve day. So we'll have to wait and watch. We'll have to wait and watch. Don't get too disappointed yet. Keep your spirits high. It's raining in England, but let's not get too bleak here in India. Hopefully, there will be some sunshine. Hopefully, well, the weather forecast isn't looking very promising, to be honest with you. But we'll keep getting updates. We'll keep getting updates. Vishesh Yadav, thank you, Vishesh, saying your voice is sweet. Well, thank you. That's at least that's made my day because I was also as disappointed as all of you when play did not uh, resume as expected in the first session of play. So, how good can Bolt be with the new ball against inexperienced Indian openers? First of all, I think Rohit Sharma hasn't played a lot of Test cricket, but he's not inexperienced at all. He's a class batsman. He is just super talented, isn't he? And he's been around in the international circuit for so long. And he remember, of course, he would have had the experience of Trent Bolt. He's played Trent Bolt before. He knows Trent Bolt pretty well. So Shubman Gill, still very young. But if you look at conditions, if you look at the format, Test cricket, right, and then you're playing in these conditions, it's always a challenge. It's not a question of experience or inexperience. Firstly, I wouldn't agree with you to say that Rohit Sharma is inexperienced. He hasn't played as many Test matches as Virat Kohli, Pujara, and Rahane, but he's certainly not inexperienced. He's played and scored runs in all sorts of conditions. Remember, he's played Trent Bolt before. He's been with Trent Bolt. Um, He's opened for years in one-day cricket. He's opened in England and done well. Again, red ball. I understand different conditions. Shubman Gill, yes, it will be a test of character and a test of skill set for him. He was so impressive in Australia against a very, very potent pace attack. So it'll be interesting to see how Shubman Gill goes about it. He has got his chance, and the Indian team obviously has very high regard for him. They regard him very highly. So it'll be interesting to see how Shubman Gill goes. But it'll be a challenge, no doubt, not just against Bolt, but Southie, uh, Matt Henry, Wagner, Kylie Jameson, whoever he's playing against. So that's going to be a potent challenge for him. Should India? So should India? I'll take another one from Bilal. Should India? Can India now go with Vihar in place of Jadeja? Well, no, they've already named their playing 11. They won't change it. They can't. They've already named their playing 11. It's official unless that's what they can't change their playing 11. Well, what if reserve day gets washed out too, Prabhat? Well, Prabhat, we'll first wait to get through the 5 days here. Who knows? There could be a result. Who knows? There could be an exceptional bowling performance from India and maybe a great 100 from one of the batsmen, and then probably, who knows? I know it's a bit of a figment of imagination at the stage, but 15 sessions in a test match. Remember, what if you have some spectacular cricket from India, or maybe they'd be able to get a result in 10 or 11 sessions only. So why lose heart already? Yes, the weather forecast is not great, but let's just keep our fingers crossed and hope that there is uh, plenty of time for both teams to play some good cricket and entertain us, and hopefully the better team will win and take the World Test Championship final home. Well, I've been able to try to answer and tackle as many questions as possible. I've also given you details about reserve day. There is no point speculating about what will happen in the reserve day. The final decision will be with the match referee. He will take a call and see how much play, how much time can be made up in these 5 days, and then he will take a call. And like I said, that final decision will be announced at the scheduled start of the last hour on the fifth day. So there is time to ponder over that. And I don't think it's very wise to speculate. But since some of you asked about the reserve day, I have given you some details. Um, and let's just hope for the best. We should be able to join you in about 2 hours from now to give you updates leading into the second session and figure out whether play is going to start in the second session at least. But as of now, the update is the first session of play has been washed out in the World Test Championship final. The first session on day one will not be played in the World Test Championship final because of rain and because of wet conditions in Southampton. We'll wait and see whether play resumes in the second session and what time. We'll, of course, keep updating all of this on Sports Today. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a good afternoon. And do subscribe to Sports Today because please remember there's plenty coming your way, not just with the World Test Championship. Remember with the women's cricket as well, with the India and England taking on each other in the one-off Test match in Bristol, and of course we're also continuing our live coverage of the European Championship, and we'll build up. We've already started building up to the Tokyo Olympics. So there's plenty of excitement lined up all for you on Sports Today. So do subscribe and do support our platform. Thank you so much.